Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. In this video, I would like to tell you what I cooked last night to demonstrate the applicability of my fast cooking system. With flavor chasing, advanced prepping, stir frying, and template-based cooking in creating a meal for entertaining some guests without taking any additional time in what you would cook normally for yourself. Yesterday, my friend Dan and Jenny told us that they were going to stop by to drop up a few things. They are very close friends, so we decided that to invite them to stay for dinner. So I cooked this pan-fried dish with a vegetable medley, and on top of it, I added shrimp and chicken. In fact, I was planning to cook the same meal for dinner, and I have everything ready in my advanced prepping. And all I need to do is to scale it so that it is sufficient for 4 people. This dish is actually 3 different dishes combined in one. And then I serve the dish in my 13-inch cast iron wok. So the first thing I did is that I went into the refrigerator and I found some fettuccine noodles, which I cooked about 4 days ago. The shelf life of cooked pasta noodles like this is about 5 to 7 days. After storing this time period in the refrigerator, and they are perfect for pan frying. The first step in cooking this dish is to pan fry the noodles, and I'm going to do it in my 13-inch cast iron wok. You will find that many people advise against using a cast iron wok on a glass top electric range. The primary reason is that the cast iron wok is very heavy and it has a likelihood to damage the glass surface. Therefore, you must be quite careful how you manage the cast iron wok on the glass top electric range. Otherwise, it works no problem at all. So the first step is that I'm going to start out with about 2.5 tablespoons of canola oil. Because I'm going to cook about 5 cups of the fettuccine pasta noodles. And I want to make sure that I have enough oil to coat the surface of the noodles. This will prevent them from stuck and burned to the bottom of the wok. I first start by adding 3 cups of the noodles to the wok. I use a pair of long handle tongs to tease them apart. The tongs that I use are 16 inches long. This will keep your hands safe from any splattering from the wok. After I have it sufficiently teased apart and coated with oil, I add the other 3 cups of noodles. The cast iron wok turned out to be perfect for pan-fried noodles because of its high heat holding capacity. The 13-inch wok is just a little bit smaller than I would like, but it works okay. After I have the noodles mostly teased apart, I decided I probably should add a little bit more cooking oil, which is mainly around the peripheral of the noodles. After tossing the noodles some more, I'm going to just let it fry. I continue this process for several minutes, tossing the noodles occasionally to make sure that I'm able to cook all the noodles evenly. It is important that the noodles did not stick and burn to the bottom of the wok. Therefore, using my spot seasoning method in the beginning to season the wok to create a non-stick cooked surface is very important. Okay, now the noodles is almost done. First, I'm going to season it with 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce. This will give the noodles a nice flavor. After mixing the contents, I garnish the noodles with some scallions that I already have in my advanced prepping. I keep the noodles in the wok and I set the wok aside. Since cast iron has great heat holding capacity, it will keep the noodles warm. And after I cook the other ingredients, I'm going to add them directly over the surface of the noodles. For the vegetable medley, first I found some eggplant in my advanced prepping. Also in my advanced prepping, I have Brussels sprout that is already prepped and ready to go. And some baby carrot will add great to this dish. Next, I have some broccoli all prepped, and they are all ready to go into the dish. I'm also going to include some cauliflower because I know my guests love cauliflower. Last but not the least, I have some portobello mushroom, and I know Jenny loves mushrooms. And with advanced prepping, it will allow me to invite guests for dinner in the last minute without the need of too much advanced preparation. Because I will have most of the ingredients ready to go. To cook this vegetable medley, I switch back to my Cuisinart 14-inch stainless steel wok. I'm going to start cooking this dish with about 2 tablespoons of canola oil. I then use my spot seasoning method to create a non-stick cooked surface. I'm going to first start by saute some baby carrot, which has been cut in half to make them easier to fry. And then I add 2 cups of eggplant. These eggplants are referred to as either Chinese or Japanese eggplant. They have more an elongated shape. I prefer them over the traditional eggplant because their skin is softer, so that I don't have to peel the skin. This definitely gives them greater nutritional value. I stir fry the eggplant and the carrot for about 2 minutes. I then add the Brussels sprout to the wok. I love Brussels sprouts, but I know my guests not particularly prefer Brussels sprouts. So I'm adding only a small portion, mainly just for me and my wife. After stir frying for about 20 seconds, I add the cauliflower to the wok. What I'm doing here is that I use the technique known as sequential cooking that allow me to control the texture of the ingredients. I add the ingredients that I would like to cook for the shorter period of time during the latter phase of the cooking process. This will allow me to have some control of the texture of the individual components. I next add some broccoli to the wok. This dish has great nutritional value because as all nutritionists would say, diversity is the key. And right there, I already have 5 different kinds of vegetables. At this point, I add some more cooking oil because the vegetable has consumed all the existing cooking oil. And next, I'm going to lightly season the dish with some oyster sauce. I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce. I particularly like oyster sauce in cooking vegetables. It creates a wonderful umami flavor for the vegetables. After mixing the content briefly, next I'm going to start steam the vegetables by adding a small amount of water at a time. The wok is very hot at this point. As soon as you add the water to the wok, it starts to form into steam almost immediately. I use the wok spatula to scrape off whatever that might have burned and stuck to the bottom of the wok. This turned out to be not only a good way to clean the wok, but it also returns the flavor back to the dish. Steaming is a very powerful way to soften the texture of the vegetables. It is important to be careful not to steam the vegetable too long, particularly if you don't want them to become too soft. And at this point, I add the portobello mushroom to the wok. And this is part of my sequential cooking techniques. I add the food ingredients that I want to cook the least at the end of the cooking process. In this case, I want the portobello mushroom to be only lightly cooked. I continue to add more water to the wok because I want to create a sauce to go over the noodles. And to thicken the sauce, I use a cornstarch suspension that contains 1 part of cornstarch to 3 parts of water. This will create a gravy-like sauce, and it goes really well with the noodles. And then I make final adjustment to the flavor of the vegetable medley by adding some additional oyster sauce. Okay, now the dish is ready. I'm going to serve it over the noodles that I cooked earlier. Okay, I then wash the wok. Now I'm ready to cook the final part of the dish, which is the chicken and the shrimp. I brought out some shrimp as soon as I entered the kitchen, and it took only about 5 to 6 minutes. In running lukewarm water, I add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. I then add seasoning agents from my masala dabba, which include 1 teaspoon of mushroom seasoning, half teaspoon of lemon pepper, half teaspoon of garlic powder, a quarter teaspoon of paprika, quarter teaspoon of cumin, and quarter teaspoon of ginger powder. I mix everything up using a pair of chopsticks, which works really well. I'm going to use about 8 ounces of chicken, which I have already prepped in advance. This allows me to thaw them out in a bowl of lukewarm water in about 10 minutes. I'm also going to use 1 tablespoon of cornstarch to coat the chicken. To the chicken, I add 1 teaspoon of mushroom seasoning, half teaspoon of lemon pepper, 1 teaspoon of onion flakes, a quarter teaspoon of paprika, and quarter teaspoon of garlic powder. I mix the content thoroughly and I'm ready to cook. I'm going to cook this with the shallow frying technique in my Cucina 14-inch stainless steel wok. I add 2 tablespoons of canola oil and I also spot season the wok. With the shallow frying technique, I first lay out the chicken in a single layer on the surface of the wok. I'm going to first fry the chicken on one side, and then I will turn it over to fry the other side. This method is considered to be a light-duty form of deep frying. By coating it with a small amount of cornstarch, it will create a much lighter breading. At this point, the chicken is probably about 60% done. I push the chicken to one side of the wok, and I'm going to add the shrimp to the other side. I treat the shrimp exactly how I did with the chicken. I'm going to fry one side of the shrimp first, and then I'm going to turn it over to fry other side. Again, this is an example of sequential cooking because the shrimp takes less time to cook. Therefore, I add them to the wok at a later time. Cooking this part of the dish is very fast. It takes only about a few minutes. This is also a very efficient way to have both chicken and shrimp for the same meal, and you can cook them all together and it saves a lot of time. So here I use approximately 8 ounces of chicken and 8 ounces of shrimp. I intend for them to serve as condiment for the dish rather than as the main ingredients. The next step is to transfer the chicken and the shrimp on top over the vegetables and the noodles in the cast iron wok. I'm going to put the cast iron wok directly on the dining table and using it as a serving plate. This is a relatively large dish. It's definitely enough for 4 of us. I consider this dish to be quite elaborate, and for 20 minutes to come up with this dish is not bad at all. The pan-fried noodles with a crispy texture, without any question, is my wife's favorite dish. At the end, we have enough left over for the lunch, that for Dan and Jenny the next day. So this is a good example of cooking for guests using the fast cooking system. You can cook a meal for 4 for entertainment that is elegant, delicious, and effective. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in learn more about the fast cooking system, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post a video every day, so I will see you tomorrow. Keep on cooking.